Hey everyone, Cynics here, and I'm finally back to do part 3 of our dragon themed design lab. So, the winner, or I guess I could say winner, but the design that got the most votes seemed to be Naramoro's dragon designs, and I think number 3 was it had a lot of the votes. A lot of people mentioned number 3. So one thing that I'll note real fast is that a lot of these designs are pretty finished that you guys submitted. They don't really leave too much room up for personal interpretation or further refinement. So I was trying to think of ways that I could bring at least some kind of interesting aspect to this final illustration creating part of things. So I thought I might try to redesign it a little bit, and I wanted to see if I can make it slightly more reptilian, maybe have capture a little more of a dragony feel. You can even see me writing that on the side just so I can think about it. And I guess that's the main thing that I was going for here. You can see I kind of made it more scaly, or at least appeared more scaly. And the face is obviously the main difference, where it's, like a thin kind of reptilian face with the eyes spread apart. Um, and, it's okay, but I feel like maybe I lost a lot of what made the initial design great. But anyway, I'll keep messing with this for a while. You can see I was trying different things, seeing if like the antler things would work out, or what I can bring in to make it more like the original design. But as it stands now, it just kind of looks like a chubby floating Charmander or something. So that's why I was questioning myself. Did I go too far with all this reptile stuff? And, it doesn't really have the same personality. I also didn't capture the droopiness quite as well. If you looked at the thumbnail that Naramoro did, you can see how it felt like the wings were kind of holding it up by like I don't know. How can I explain this? Like if you took like a baby or something and held it up by like its waistband, or you gave a kid a wedgie and like held him up by his wedgie. Like it kind of had that feeling that it was very like off balanced and balanced kind of toward the back of the spine instead of, where wings are normally kind of ideally placed on like the shoulder-ish areas, somewhere more in the front. But anyway, I think that'll be it for the kind of line work portion of things. And it's okay. I drew in these little kind of representations of birds just because I was trying to think of what the final composition could be because I didn't really come into this with any strong ideas. And you can see me now just kind of messing with colors, and I think I'll have to change those a bit. I was just kind of putting down these base colors. Just on the same layer. But if you look at that right now, what's the main problem you see with the sky? It's obviously too dark. It's pretty much the same value as the ground, and you might think, oh well, it's sky, so it's bluish and stuff. But no, you got to like actually take into account all the brightness and lighting of things. So the sky is generally a lot lighter than that, and this way, it'll really push the ground and the mid-ground objects, such as the dragon creature and stuff. It really pushes them forward because you don't want them blending it with the background. So I went really light with the skybox here, and I don't know why I called it a skybox. This is not a video game. A skybox is something that's in a video game that surrounds an environment, and it's literally a box with a sky painted on it. That's supposed to just be the skybox. But anyway, what was I talking about here? Oh yeah, this is kind of just the fun little part where I'm just doodling clouds, and I always found that relaxing. And I would, in fact, recommend it as a good way to get comfortable with digital painting is just to draw some clouds, put on a nice blue, soft blue background, and just try to draw some clouds because it's really kind of relaxing, but it's also just kind of very forgiving. Obviously clouds come in lots of shapes, but it'll get you more comfortable with using your brushes and kind of creating soft edges and hard edges where you want them, and just kind of building forms and getting you comfortable with working with, say, a tablet and stuff like that. So that's actually a lot of the first painting stuff I did that wasn't just filling in colors like cell shaded stuff. It was all like painting skies and stuff just to get used to it. So I definitely recommend that. And you can even throw in little ground environments too, just to practice your colors. So this type of stuff that I'm doing right now was definitely probably the most common thing I did for like the first year of learning digital painting. Just a lot of grounds with skies, and sometimes I'd put in a little object in the midground once I was done. In fact, you can see this in some of the old videos and my old artwork. It's just a lot of skies with like maybe a little flying vehicle spattered in somewhere. But anyway, I'm trying to stick to the colors that Naramura had, which was mainly like this red with some white colors on top. It was kind of like pinkish, kind of a red fade, a faded color scheme from red to white. I'm still not feeling this whole, pink, whatever, dragony thing. It still looks like some terrible Charmander, but yeah, I don't like this color either. It kind of looks like, I don't know, pink flesh color. It's not the best looking thing I've ever done. And you can see I'm just kind of trying to work in other colors, seeing if I can make something interesting out of it. And the face kind of starts to look like a hippo at this point. So that's kind of what this looks like. Something like a naked mole rat crossed with a hippo, maybe. But yeah, that's something. So anyway, while I'm messing with that, I guess I can mention real fast why there's such a delay in between these videos. And that was just because I got wrapped up in kind of doing other stuff. And I'm a very habitual person, which is, a bad thing. But once I fall out of like the routine of doing something on a regular basis, such as making a video, I kind of fell out of the routine because I was going to doing the expo stuff and convention stuff. And once I fall out of a routine, it's hard for me to get back into things. I just fall into a different routine and then I'm doing that. So that's kind of my problem. And I don't know if a lot of other artists have that problem, but it's easy to draw a lot once I'm drawing a lot. But if I go a while and stop drawing, then, it's hard to get back into things. So here you can see me reworking the face over and over again, trying to make this thing somewhat more interesting. My pink flying hippo Charmander monster. But yeah, it's I don't know. I'm not really feeling it. I wasn't really happy with it at this point, but I was like, oh well, I got to get something out because I haven't done any videos in such a long time. Let's just keep forcing through it. And I would say, kind of getting yourself motivated to work on like a project or, whatever project it might be. This is not specifically related to doing a painting or, in my case, doing the video. But it can be hard to get yourself started. And I can relate that a lot to having insomnia. I don't know if any of you guys have ever suffered through insomnia, especially as a kid and stuff, where your mind just races and you lie in bed, but you start thinking about stuff and all of a sudden you can't sleep and hours pass by and you just having a terrible time because you can't sleep and you have to sleep because you have to get up for school in the morning. But that's a lot like kind of trying to start a project, in that when you're trying to fall asleep, you start thinking about, trying to fall asleep, and you start like kind of running through a loop in your head of, okay, I gotta fall asleep now. How can I fall asleep? And, just don't think about anything. If I make my mind blank, maybe I can fall asleep. But oh no, I'm thinking about trying to make my mind blank. And, that kind of stupid stuff that you go through as a kid. But it's kind of a similar process when it comes to starting a project, because you find yourself just thinking about the project. You're like, okay, maybe I'll start right now. You can open a canvas and you'll be like, oh, your mind starts racing of like the different ideas. Maybe you have a lot of ideas about what you want to accomplish, and you just spend so much time thinking about it that you find it kind of really difficult to actually just execute what you want to do. So yeah, the only real, way to get past that is just to kind of shut off your brain and start drawing and, start working. Don't think about anything anymore. If you can just kind of get over your brain somehow and stop, thinking about it and just start working, even if like the work you're doing is not that happy or, not making you that happy. Like what was happening with this one, I was like, okay, I'll just start working. I don't really like this design that much that I, went with this dragony looking boring thing. And it's kind of just turning into a pink blob right now. It just kind of looks like a chunk of ham flying through the sky. But you get started, and hopefully, your brain just starts working, and at least you're getting something done, and at least you're getting back into the habit of drawing. And usually, if you keep up with doing stuff like that, just kind of forcing stuff out there, you'll start making the stuff you want to make eventually. As you can see me sometimes checking my black and white values and stuff like that. And I was looking at Naramoro's original design again, and I'm like, wow, mine sure is boring. It just looks like a giant slug flying around. So maybe I could try to bring in some elements from his original design. And I was like bringing in a little bit of stuff, maybe the nose. Maybe I can make it more like a slightly mammal-looking thing. And right now, it just looks creepy and weird and pretty horrible. But I'm just gonna keep reworking it and see where it goes. Yeah, I'm messing with the eyes a lot. And you can learn a lot about kind of showing personality and stuff in a creature design too, not just in people, by like where the eyes are placed. And you'll notice that a lot as I go through this illustration here. I see here you can see me messing with like the mouth and stuff, and I made the mouth kind of small, and I made the eyes kind of wide, spread apart. And you can see in his original design, the eyes were very close, and the mouth was kind of wide and upward. So I tried to just see if I could capture that feeling. So I got rid of those eyes because they looked too menacing and too just kind of grim for what the shape of the creature was. So if you place the eyes a lot closer, suddenly it looks a lot kind of stupider, but it makes it seem less intimidating, less scary and menacing, and just more lovable and fun. So that's kind of what I was going for there, making the eyes closer together and kind of reworking the mouth and nose once again, making the mouth even higher, just kind of compressing those little facial features to make him look really kind of silly and, lovable. But you can see I pretty much got rid of the whole body there. I got rid of the tail, I got rid of everything, and I was just like, forget it. I'm not even gonna try to make some weird new design that just ruins things. I'll just go back to his original design and just kind of recreate it in a painterly feel, and not really change anything. And that's kind of where I started to go with this. And it's not the most interesting, obviously, kind of thing to do with his design, and it wasn't really my plan when I started. But the more I painted, the more I was just like, I think this will just, be more interesting to look at, or it'll just, I don't know, be fun to try. So that's where I did. I just started making his design again, except I was doing it, painterly style, so you can get some ideas of how to make things more painterly, and just kind of how the brushstrokes work and everything like that. Sorry about that. I need to catch my breath a little. I've been talking a lot. So here you can see me trying to place in a couple front teeth, and once again, that's just to make him look even more goofy, to give him that like underbite feel. And this guy looks completely, I don't know, slightly unintimidating now. He looks like something that would be like a mascot in like a never-ending story movie or something. But I brought in, trying to bring in a lot of like white lightness, not white, but really strong values, high values to like the top and everything, to kind of give it some lighting so it comes off the background. Because normally I would just kind of have it be, a dark creature on top of that light background, but that's not really the creature that I was making, so I needed to find a way to make it stand out while still being light, so I decided to just go even lighter than the background and have it seem like the sun's really reflecting off that whiteness in his fur, I guess. Now he has fur. Before he was a reptile, now he's a mammal, so he's got fur. You can see me just kind of placing the legs, and the back legs are obviously up a lot more in the original design, so that's what I'm doing. I'm placing the back legs, up a lot more, and I kind of repositioned everything, so now it feels like, he's getting his wing wedgie, he's being pulled up by kind of his backside, and it makes him look more droopy and more funny, and just kind of more lazy. So that's what I liked about their original design, so that's what I'm just going to go back to. You're not going to be able to capture that stuff by messing around and changing the posing and stuff, because that's really where it was, captured. So that's where I'm at right now, and you can see I'm just kind of filling in the tail, and once again using all the little tricks that I've talked about for showing stuff at a distance. So you can see like the objects, even just the body parts as they go back into space. They're less saturated. They have less value changes. They're more just kind of mid-ground, or they're more fading into the background, which is lighter. So using tricks like that, suddenly the head seems really in front, and the tail seems like it's really flying into the background. And obviously the connection between the tail, it needs to be kind of smooth, and it's not smooth out quite yet. But just kind of that gradient of going back from like strong saturations to low saturations, and from strong contrast to low contrast. So, yep, I'm adding back in my little birds here, and this is like fun for me because I suddenly get to give this guy a ridiculous scale. Like obviously his wings wouldn't work no matter probably how big they were, and stuff. So you can pretend this creature is, magical in some sense, and that its wings are just kind of for show, but it still flaps them around and flies around. But it's obviously not a creature that could ever exist. And I took that a step further by making him just giant. Obviously, giant mammals can't quite exist. There's all kinds of scientific reasons dealing with like temperature stuff, and I think elephants are possibly like the maximum size that certain types of things can be just because of heat and related elements of size and joints, and I don't know. But someone can explain it better. But so this kind of giant creature is obviously just something that exists in Fantasyland. You can see I even added like little birds sitting on top of the antler things, and that's just to give scale. You can see this thing is this massive, like a giant building size. But anyway, I added a couple little foreground elements, and the environment stuff. It's not that great. It doesn't have great depth, and I need to start painting environments again because obviously I've gotten lazy with them, and they're not that great. But it creates a nice cartoony feel, and the foreground elements kind of work. So I think that's everything, and now that we're back on track, I'll probably be doing more videos shortly. So thanks for watching. Hope it was fun. Thanks to Naramoro for the design, and thanks to everyone for participating in this design lab.